Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, my friends all across the globe today. My name is Leaf, and as always, it's so great to have you guys back in Sugar Pine Zoo. Yes, so I hope you guys are still enjoying this little series. I'm having so much fun with it. It's just so refreshing to do like a North American zoo, and it really does help you like appreciate like all the wildlife that you have in your very own backyard, even if it is like all the way across the country. But in this case today, we are actually working on a grizzly bear enclosure. Now, I was so excited to work with these guys. I was like trying to figure out what to start this entire like little North American trail off with over here. This is going to be kind of like a more Western kind of vibe to it. The other side is more Arctic, and meanwhile this side it's a lot more temperate, taiga, desert, grassland, stuff like that. We'll just play it as we go. But with that being said, I really did want to incorporate a lot more of the river over here, so you could see me start to throw in a few more like water beds and stuff like that. I really wanted to make sure the river kind of like encapsulated the grizzly bear exhibit as best as it could. And of course, I try and get the grizzlies in here as soon as possible, but a lot of the stuff that you see me fiddling with over here actually gets taken out for the better. In fact, I was quite uninspired when I started this habitat. I was very much forcing myself to really get a speed build out for you guys, and usually I don't like to do that. Usually I tend to care a lot more about the quality of the build rather than actually getting stuff out for you guys. So I actually tabled this for a little bit, and I came back to it just yesterday night, just to really hammer it down, and I think it came out so well in the end. It's so worth it just to like take a step back and then come back to a project when you're feeling a lot more inspired for it. And I guess that's kind of what's happened for Capron and Foxborough and literally everything else. You guys may have noticed that last week it was a bit of a lacking week in terms of speed builds and stuff, and I do apologize for that, but you know, if I'm not feeling something, I'm just not going to put it out, and that's something I really don't want to really apologize for. I just want to make sure I put the best stuff out there for all of you guys. Anyways, so working on the exact habitat over here. Wow. I really wanted to incorporate a lot more rocks over here, really have it feel like a mountainside, and that's something I really wanted to start incorporating. As I probably said before, right behind the American Waters building, I really do want it to be like an emphasis that makes it feel like you're going through like a little mountain hike, and incorporating as many rocks as we can throughout this really helps flesh it out like a lot. So you guys may start to notice I do this little bit of a viewing gallery over here, and I actually use Kai's path mod to really flex out just how unique this I don't know, asphalt area is. And also you can see me using Just Goron's technique right there for basically incorporating these small gaps between the glass, and you can do this in base game as well, no mods. It essentially just gives you these beautiful big glass panels with a small degree of separation in between them all. It really pays off in the end, and it just feels like such a more clean product, because obviously whatever like posts that you use in the other builds, it really depends on what you're building for and what kind of, you know, vibes you're going for. And for this section over here, I didn't want any post. So using Just Goron's technique, by the way, definitely do check him out. He's doing amazing work in Planet Zoo with the Bexabergen. I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's a beautiful, beautiful zoo, and he's doing a perfect 1 to 1.5 recreation of it, if I'm correct. But anyways, go check out Goron is all I mean. So over here, I'm just getting like the general idea of what I want the habitat to look like done. And I actually do include a little bit of like a rocky outcrop over here towards the viewing gallery, just to give it a little bit of a degree of separation between the bears and the guests themselves. Usually I do love to have these like up close encounters with like guests and animals, and actually there was a beautiful I think it was, I forget what zoo it was on Zoo Tours, but they have this grizzly bear exhibit, and you can actually like, there's this huge gap in the rocks, not really huge because otherwise the bears would be able to get through it, but you can actually look face to face with the bears if they do stick their little snouts through there. I think I may kind of want to integrate something like that maybe down the line with like maybe the polar bears or something like that. I feel like that'd be really, really cool to have. But with that being said, we're focusing on our little grizzlies over here. So I really did just want to line up like how the habitat's going to look, the traversable area that the bears will have in sand, and then I actually do all the biome paint later down the line. Most of this exhibit is going to be rockwork, as is most of Sugar Pine. Sugar Pine is just like literally built on rocks. I love it so much. But over here, just making sure that the sight lines are all accounted for, making sure that they look good, and then leveling out like the various areas where I want the bears to traverse. Just getting those general, like, you guys can really tell my kind of style for building, my process, if it is. Just making sure that I do these step-by-step things in order to get the best habitat possible. At least in my own opinion, I think like everyone has their own wonderful style. For example, if Remnant comes in here, he would absolutely wreck my stuff up. He would do such amazing stuff and do stuff that I wouldn't even think about. But of course, this is my own zoo, and I really want to focus on my own style and really capture that. And of course, I don't really want anyone else in Sugar Pine. Maybe if something does come up, I will invite someone in. But for the time being, I want this to be 100% my own project. And you know what? It's always fine to have some of that, you know? And of course, working on a lot more rockwork. Rockwork it's becoming a bit of a pain for me. I do enjoy how it looks at the end of it. But by the end of it, it just turns out with such a beautiful, beautiful result. Sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought right here. So over here is where I start to do all of the terrain paints and just making sure that everything looks nice and pretty. So I did want to integrate some grass over here and make sure that everything looks nice and a bit more lush. Not really the greenest of grass, but I really do love how you how you combine both the dirt and the grass, and it gives us a little bit of a drabber look, and it pays off so well in the end. And actually, you guys can already tell I'm reusing that. I don't care, no shame whatsoever. If you already have something good, might as well use it. The backstage is something that I don't really care about, and something I really feel like takes away from the grander scale of the zoo itself. So obviously, if you guys are looking for something like that, definitely do check out like Pine Ridge or something. But Pine Mountain Sanctuary, that's what it is, sorry. But over here, I just really want to have a bigger emphasis on the habitats, the natural landscapes, and stuff like that. I don't know. If you guys are interested, definitely do check out that series for more realism. But over here, you guys know my vibes, you guys know how I do this stuff, and you know what, it just turns out so good in the end. So of course, adding some more foliage, again, our nice little initial layer of drin grass, and this is very much where the painting, quote unquote, comes into play. So as you guys may have noticed in these past few episodes, I have been describing, like, you know, the foliage, the rockwork as painting, and it really does kind of stem from, like, you know, my love for Bob Ross videos and stuff like that. And really just getting these initial things done first and working your way up from there, starting with the lower brush, working your way up to the trees. Start small, then work big. That's essentially how it works for me, and it really does pay off in the end, because you can see me start to go into these like diamond leaf willows. They really do help to like give it a little bit more of a brighter color, and they work well as bushes too. It's just such a beautiful combined effort of like all of these pieces together that really does help to sell an entire environment and really does help it feel alive. And I've actually started using crowberry bushes to give it a little bit more varied texture on the grass itself. I don't know, I feel like I may continue that throughout the rest of this little trail over here, and I do include that like down below just to really, I don't know, sell the kind of overgrown vine vibe down there. I can barely talk anymore, guys, if you can't tell. I'm very tired. We just had a power outage yesterday, so that kind of explains why I haven't really had too many speed builds out last week. It was pretty awful for the Northeast. We got good old Northeast, I'll tell you that much, but hopefully you guys still like appreciate everything that I'm putting out so far. I really do appreciate you guys even like being here, you know? And of course, what good is theming without actual, like, you know, human elements? So I really did want to separate both the left side with the right side. So the right side obviously is the Arctic, and it's gonna have like a nice big emphasis on orange and green. Meanwhile, this side, I'm kind of playing in with the covered bridge and the American Waters exhibit. I'm kind of doing red and green, sort of like a kind of like northeast covered bridge kind of vibe, and just carry on that throughout the entire exhibit. And also, you may notice I'm still using lion signs. These are going to be a very big staple throughout the entire project itself. I'm not afraid to use blueprints. I friggin' love using blueprints. They make it so much easier, and it also creates this, it creates a nice loving community between creators, and Lion is such an amazing builder. If you guys haven't checked out his channel yet, I'm not sure when the last time he uploaded was. Lion, I'm so sorry, but if you guys are interested, he does have his channel, he does have his blueprints. Go show him all the love you possibly can. But with that being said, just working on a lot more of the general theming and itself, just making sure everything looks nice, making sure that everything looks beautiful, and making sure that everything feels like a cohesive theme. So obviously over here, just making sure that I incorporate these colors. Color is a very important thing when it comes to making stuff like this. And also I'm doing a viewing canopy over here, nothing too crazy, just very simple, very wooden, and I brown it out with the cornerstones down below, and I actually do give the glass viewing a little bit more of a structural integrity with the stained glass, not stained glass, the stained wood panels, and it's perfect enough for guests to be able to see over it. So, you know, it all just ends out, you know, nice and even in the wash. Over here, just making sure that I fill out the middle of those slats with some nice beautiful big planks, making sure that all looks nice and beautiful, and making sure that, you know, we have a nice cohesive theme. And that's like exactly what I want to emphasize over here, just making sure that everything feels like it's meant to be here. And of course, rounding out those glass panels over there as well, making sure that they only happen at the edges of those to give it a little bit more of a structure, I guess that makes sense. And of course, just hiding the breast behind, you know, some beams and stuff like that, just making sure it all looks good. Oh, alright, what else do we have here? Adding some more of these signs. Lion, I literally love you so much. They just bring such a new, like, this entire exhibit is kind of based off of them, you know? I guess you could kind of say that. It just helps it sell itself so much better. I don't know, I just really love the look of it in the end. And of course, rounding out the rocks over there. I wanted to do something funky with like faux rocks and stuff, but I just like the natural rock look anyways. Making sure this plaza looks nice over here, and kind of hiding that area down there with some bushes and stuff, just to give it a little bit more of an overgrown feel, kind of like, you know, that's all nature over there, we can't really step into there too much. I don't know, just think it turns out pretty good. And there's like an HVAC stuck in the ground somewhere over there. Not sure what happened to it, not sure what I was going to do with it. I think I was going to actually use it for the interior of that building. And also, this is like Blueprint City. I'm using Tovez's, like, I don't know what you call those kinds of walls, but they're kind of like dingy, and they kind of fit the forest vibe perfectly. So I've been using them throughout like the entire zoo itself, an entire zoo of Sugar Pine, and just continuing them on throughout this section over here, and just making sure it feels nice and cohesive, because I feel like having these cohesive themes and pieces really do help to sell it, especially with these benches over here. I kind of recolor them to fit like the vibe of this area. I'm hoping to have a lot more darker wood, and I feel like it really helps to sell like this little bit more of a trek, if that makes sense. And of course, there I am forgetting to edit out that part of the footage, but we're just gonna keep running with it. You see, no harm, no foul. I wanted to do a little bit of a cave structure over here as well, using poison blades, kind of mud wall technique to get a nice, beautiful little, I don't know, kind of theme over there. Not theme, nice, beautiful, harmonic rock structure. Yes, those are words that I just looped together, and I feel like, yeah, they complement each other nicely. But yeah, this is essentially like the last part of the habitat. I do a little bit of off-camera things, just essentially cleaning everything up, do a little bit of foliage work in some tiny places that you guys probably won't really notice, just stuff that I feel like really does help it, and adding some more faux rocks. I haven't really been using the faux rocks on this side yet. Probably will go back and redo some of the rock work, add in some more faux rocks and stuff like that, just to give it a little bit more purpose, give it a little bit more character. And of course, doing some nice wooden structures over here to really make sure everything feels nice and held up. Wanted to have a little bit of a sign over here. Way too lazy to actually do the sign myself, so I just throw a couple bears on each side. just as a way to make it look nice and make it feel welcoming. Just adding some foliage as well to the top, making sure it all looks nice. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the speed build. I do want to thank you guys for stopping by. Always do love the suggestions in the comments down below. I know Neil suggested the grizzly bears as soon as possible, so thank you, Mr. Neil, for really suggesting that. Very excited to see how well we're going to continue this section over here. I'm putting off the polar bears for as long as I can because I'm very scared to build for them. Never built for them before. So we'll actually see how that comes out in the end. But here's the B-roll. Definitely do appreciate you guys stopping by, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the next episode. Take care and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye now.